Hello and welcome to my YouTube channel. Today I'm going to be doing a little pink festive set with some diamonds, some glitter. We're going to be going from these, my bare nails, to these nails here. Overall, I probably spent about 5 hours on this set. So I've managed to condense it down into a 40-minute video. So I've already measured out my nail tips, and I also did my cuticle care the day before, simply because otherwise my hands are red raw by the end of this. So with the tips, this is what I do. I just get my e-file and buff up, scruff up the part of the tip that is going to be stuck down to my natural nail. I also use this little buffing block. There's 2 different grits either side. I will be using this very fine grit on my natural nail just to get it a little bit scruffy, take that natural shine off. Obviously last night I did my cuticle care and I put some cuticle oil on, so there is oils on my nail now, and really the idea is that we want to remove those oils so that we're going to be able to get a nice long lasting set. So I'm just using my little brush to dust off any excess, because we don't really want to get like dusty nails involved with the base, if you know what I mean. So this is just my little dehydrator. I use Model 1's dehydrator, and I also use the same primer. This stuff's great. You don't really need to spend out loads and loads for these products, because you can if you want, but this works well for me. So the attitude is, don't fix what isn't broke. So after I've done my dehydrator, I'm going in with the primer. Just giving a good even coat on each of my nails so that the foundation, the Beetles foundation that I use, has got the best chance to properly adhere to my natural nail. I love the brand Beetles as well. Like, I've never had a problem with any of their products, and I think it's quite an affordable brand as well. For anyone who is looking to start out, or anyone who is a professional as well, I quite enjoy Beetles. So after that I did a 60-second cure, and now I've got my gooseneck UV lamp, which I use to flash cure my tips, and I'm just going to show you here. I clip it to my lamp, my actual lamp that's overhead, so I have lighting. And I use the Beetles nail glue just to get the tips on there, and I use the smallest amount possible. Like, you can clearly see on the brush there is barely anything there. So I'll be putting that on this nail here, just on that little part of the tip. Now when I do full cover tips, I will do a technique called mashing, which is literally mash to create a texture on that nail. So you have got another, it just enhances that possibility of your nails lasting that little bit longer. I don't really know if you can see. Yeah, you can. It's just created some texture. However, when you are doing tips like this, it's not really necessary, I don't think. So yeah, this is the tip going on. I kind of messed up this one a little bit, but it's reparable. I literally start at the base, push up, and then flash cure. And I think this is probably, I'm flash curing it for 10 seconds, and you're going to be able to see this nail is not going to go anywhere at all. That is stuck down there. I'm moving my lamp a little bit as well so that you can see a bit better. I do try my best to keep things in frame, but it just doesn't always do what I need it to do. But yeah, you can see I'm wiggling that around side to side, up and down. She's stuck down. she's there. So once I've done that, I do the rest of my nails. And then I will file down the sides of a few just to make sure that they do sit flush with my natural nail, because we don't want any that are going to overhang and we don't want any that are too small either. Otherwise you're going to have the possibility of lifting or them just popping off. I wish I was brave enough to have my actual nails this long, and I have been contemplating it quite a lot to just have a long set, but I do know they would take me probably an entire day to do. So we're going for a full cure while just to make sure that that's all solidified. And then this is the nail, the e-file drill bit that I will be using next, just to blend that tip in with the nail and to scuff up the top. So this bit, it's got a red band around it, however it's been soaked in barbicide so many times that it's come off, but it's an extra fine nail bit, so it's not going to be causing a lot of damage or debulking. It's also a reason why I put the foundation on the full nail before curing it, because I am filing, and I don't want to cause too much damage to my natural nail. But that's that. I use this brush here. It's a bit more, I'm not going to say dense, it's just like, it's a bit harsher than my other brush, but I don't want little nail bits or bits of plastic to get stuck up in my other brush, so that's why I use that one. And then this is my little hack. I love this hack. I'm using these magnets here. Oh, that was my air freshener, sorry. I use these magnets here and I attach them to my nail clippers, and I'm beating that tub down because the little bits of flower and petals that you see there, they just get stuck to the lid, and then sometimes I open it and it just goes everywhere. So what I do is I attach these magnets to my nail clippers, and then it ensures that they're all the same length. Basically, it's a lovely little hack. You'll also notice when I filed the nail, I didn't go all the way to the top, and that's because I'm not actually going to be filing. I'm not actually going to be doing that part of the nail, so there's not really any point in me filing it. I'm going to be chopping it off anyway. So with this part, it's literally just getting the nails to the length that you want them to be. This set is going to be quite a long set for me. So yeah, it's just making sure that it's definitely what I want. So I'm taking the magnets off one by one, just to make sure that they are exactly where we want them to be. So I realised here that the length I wanted was exactly it, and normally I file it a little bit after I've got after I've put down my acrygel. So I added another magnet back on, knowing that I am going to be taking a little bit of length away. And then here we are, just chop. Have a little chop. I know that my cuticles look absolutely crazy here. They look like they've been abused, but they haven't. I don't know, I guess I do abuse them. Whatever. Yeah, I just like my nails to look neat at the end. I don't like having any loose skin left behind. Also with my little finger, I do normally cut that one down a little bit shorter, and the reason I do that is because I will use my little fingers as an anchor for when I am filing and painting. Not filing and painting, just when I'm painting the nails, I use my little finger as an anchor. So now I'm using these little scissors to shape the nail how I want it. I was going for a coffin ballerina type tip on this set, and although the tips that I used were coffin, they're coffin all the way to the end, but when you start taking some of the length away, they do look a little bit more like a tapered square. So That's not what I wanted. Here I'm just chopping away, and I will spend a good 5-10 minutes doing this part because I don't know, I just like them uniform, if you know what I mean. Yeah, I'll do one nail and then I'll go back to the last one and then I'll do another nail and then I'll go back to the last one again, and it's just a case of finessing. And then I just take a super fine, this is like a 180 grit nail file, just to get rid of any sharp edges on the nail where I've chopped a little bit away, and just to make sure I've definitely got that blend down nicely on the nail tip, if you know what I mean, the part where the tip connects to my natural nail. So now I'm spraying my it's like an antibacterial spray onto my hands. I'm just taking this little swab and I'm swiping around my cuticles, because with the next part I have done it before where I've put down my acrygel, my polygel, whatever you want to call it. I've put it down and there's just been bits of like plastic and nail in my cuticle still, and it just doesn't leave a nice finish, I find. So I'm going in with my foundation once again, doing it all over every nail, getting it as close to the cuticle as I can, because if you do not use a foundation you will absolutely not get your polygel on there. So this is the Nail and Beauty Lab Polygel Slip Solution, and I'm using the Capcut nail extension gel. This is in the shade Icing. So I picked this shade because it's like a nice champagne colour. It's got a really nice shimmer to it as well, but it's nothing too extreme. It's just a really pretty shimmer. And I'm just doing a little swatch. I use this, it's almost like a silicone sponge type thing, brush, if you can call it a brush. I use that on every nail to put down my polygel. But yeah, this is just a little swatch. I made sure I had a good amount of the slip solution on there, but you can see it's got a nice sheen to it. And here we go, this is the fun part. I am only showing you one nail, because if I do every single nail, we're going to be here a long time, because if I spend about 5 minutes per nail, I will put down a big bead of polygel. Here we go. This is the nail I'm showing you. Big bead. There you go. Dip that, we're going to call it a brush for ease. Dip that in and I spread it all over that nail. It's all over my natural nail, all over the tip. And as I was saying as well, with that foundation, if you don't use a base coat with polygel, the polygel will not stick to anything. You need it, okay? So I'm literally mushing it around, spreading it around. This part, I don't know, it is time consuming, but the longer you spend on it, the better the result, the less time you're going to be spending filing. I always file after though, because that's just me. That's just how I do it. I make sure that I build a good apex on the nail. Sometimes I will have to go in and do a second bead. However, this one with my little one, I only ever do one bead because I normally actually put too much on. And then with this part, I'm using a brush. The brush is purely so that I can get it as close to my cuticle as possible. So it's got a really nice, it looks flush, if you will. And I will also be spreading it up and down my nail just to make sure that it is nice and smooth. And I'll alternate between the tools until I am happy with the end result. Yeah, you'll see I'm just going back and forth with the different tools. Press it down, mush it around, press it down, mush it around. Spread it here, spread it there. and every tool that I use is always like saturated with the slip solution, and I'm using the pointed end to go around my cuticle, make sure there's nothing touching my skin, and that's that. I will then go in with a full cure for each of those. Here is my little solution that I've made up. It's about 50% acetone and 50% rubbing alcohol. I use acetone and rubbing alcohol because it just breaks up any polish that I've got on a brush or a tool so much easier than just one or the other. And then I rub down each and every one of my nails with it using a lint-free wipe. With Polygel as well, you're absolutely fine using acetone because it cannot be removed with acetone. It must be filed off. So I'm using that 180 grit nail file once again, just checking every nail hasn't got that sticky layer on it, because this is why I rub it down. I don't want my nail file to get clogged up with that sticky layer, because otherwise it's just not going to work. I'm not going to be able to file it down and get a nice shape. And that's that. Making sure that it's all nice and rounded where it needs to be rounded. It's got a nice uniform shape, brushing everything off. I also took a little break on this particular part, I believe, because I wanted to get my other hand done. I was sick to death of looking at one hand that looked lovely and the other hand looking janky as hell. So I had a little break, I did my other hand, and also with this part you are more than welcome to go in with a top coat and leave it here. However, we're bougie, we're going to do some nail art. So, oh yeah, this is me showing off my other hand. Did my best with my non-dominant hand to do exactly the same job, and it was hard. It's always hard using your non-dominant hand. So, as always, the Beetles foundation. I love this base coat, I'm not gonna lie. I big up Beetles all the time. I haven't got any issues with their brand. So yeah, I'm gonna do a base coat just because I want to make sure that any gel polish that I'm going to be using is sticking to a nice even surface. It's going to be nice and neat. I sometimes find with if this doesn't happen, I've done it in the past where I've not put down my base coat and then just done some nail art. The nail art doesn't have clean edges and it doesn't look I don't know, it looks grainy almost, and that is not what I want. So I'm going to cure that under the lamp for 60 seconds and I will show you some of the colours that we're going to be using. So this is a reflective silver. It's incredible, this colour, B514. You can buy this individually, it's holographic. This is one of their liner gels in milky white. I'm going to be using I need to put my teeth in. I'm going to be using that for my French tip. This is the ASP Power Stay in Candy Kisses. It's just a nice pink shimmer. And then this is a nice baby pink. It came in one of my sets, which is why it's a lot smaller than the others. B223. I can't actually remember the set that one came in, but I will swatch all of these colours for you so you can see what you're going to be getting. We're going to start with the French tip. I put this one down on my middle finger and I wanted a really deep smile line when I did this. I love a nice deep smile line. So I will start the French tip quite close to the top. I can be quite scruffy with this. It doesn't matter because I will just go back and forth, back and forth, back and forth, finessing it. So I'll do a line down the centre, which is kind of like, it's a guideline for where to drag down the sides of the nail will be. You see, I start at that middle bit and then I go down, fill in some of the blanks. Doesn't really matter what order you do it. I think everyone has their own way of doing a French tip. This is my way. I've tried it before where it's like you have the French tip stamper and it's just messy. So this has probably taken me about 1.5 years to master doing a decent French tip. Anyone who's starting out doing nails, just have realistic expectations of how it's going to go, because it's taken me a long time, unless you're just one of them people who's got a good steady hand and is very good at nailing it, if you know what I mean. Excuse the pun, but yeah. Even my old nail tech who I used to go and see, she used to spend about 5 minutes doing just one French tip, and she'd been in the nail game probably over 10 years. It's just one of them things. When I get a client who asks for all French tips, I just have to hold my breath and pray and think positive thoughts, because they are hard. They're not an easy piece of nail art, but once it's down and it looks cute. But yeah, you can see here I'm literally just back and forth. I'll be turning my hand from side to side quite a lot just so that I can see that it is even all over, like that. Make sure that it's the shape I want. Oh, and make sure I'm catching the sides of the nail and also the very end of the nail. And that's that. Put that in for a cure. Some of the bits that I do with nail art, I don't always do a full cure. I'll do a flash cure. But this, I had the flash on for this so that you could really see the power of the reflection. Oh, look at that. The holographic reflection. Beautiful. So with these bits, the holographic, the candy kisses and the baby pink, I'm just laying it down on my little nail art dish. This is my 11mm fine liner brush. And then what I do to ensure that it is saturated with the product is I roll it and drag. You'll be able to see a little bit here. It's messy, but who cares? Roll and drag, roll and drag, roll and drag, to make sure that every part of that brush is saturated nicely with your product. And then, because I've already done the smile line, I'm kind of not too fussed about any mistakes, if you know what I mean. And I've flash cured it too, so if I do make a mistake, I can just get one of my lint-free wipes and just give it a once over. But yeah, look at that. I framed that smile line with the silver holographic glitter. Now we're going to be doing the pink, and I believe I went in with like a candy cane style on my little fingers. So I can't remember what, oh here we go, 15mm. It was a fine liner brush again. So this candy cane style, I did like I did thick pink stripes along the nail. Yeah, kind of speaks for itself there, doesn't it? I remember when I saw the inspo for this, I thought, oh yeah, I could easily do that. This was actually tricky, obviously. I don't know. I look at some of the inspo pics I get on like Pinterest sometimes and I think, yeah, I could definitely do that. And then it comes down to it and I think, oh, actually, girl, you bit off more than you could chew here. But to be honest with you, this set wasn't too difficult. It was just like, I don't know, it had its tricky moments, I guess. So between the lines there, I'm filling in a gap. Filling in the gaps with the silver holographic. Oh, and this is a good example of flash curing. Getting a lint-free wipe, dipping it in my solution, wiping away, and then starting again. And that pink design is already laid down, so I don't really need to worry too much about that getting messed up, if you know what I mean. So once again, I went back in for a second coat because I felt like the glitter wasn't glittering. It needed a little more love. But then I'll do another flash cure, and with a flash cure, I think I kind of touched up on it. It's literally just pop your hand under the lamp for 10 seconds and maybe 20, whatever. But you're not doing a full cure. You're just doing a very brief, like, I don't know, just super brief, making sure that the design that you're happy with has been laid down and is staying there. Yeah. So this next part I was very excited to do. This is like a peppermint style nail that I was going for. So I started with a dotting tool with that blush pink, and I used, I think this is my 15mm fine brush to outline where I want that peppermint swirl to go. So I'm curving the lines, and the thing is, doing nail art I think is quite tricky because you've got a canvas, but your canvas is curved. So you have to make sure that the nail art is legible from all angles, including like a bird's eye view when you're looking straight down onto it. And obviously when you're working on just a plain flat canvas, it is legible from any angle, but when it's curved, it has to make sense, if you know what I mean. So yeah, it's not as easy as it looks, but when you can do it, you can do it. Once you've mastered that initial, because when I first started doing this, I thought, yeah, it's easy, I can get that done. I humbled myself because I had to learn the hard way that actually it takes a lot of patience and a lot of trial and error before you really get the hang of it and really understand the contours of your nails and your client's nails as well. And also, I think it's sometimes necessary to let a client know when they come to you with a crazy design what your capabilities are. So there's no good saying, yeah, I can do this, when it's not something you've even practiced or tried before. So practicing is always a necessary evil. Oh, by the way, with this part, I'm using another little swab stick just to neaten up that one of them curves that I did. But yeah, I'm quite happy with those curves, and now I'm using the actual brush. Look at how tiny that brush is. I'm using the actual brush to fill in the gaps, but obviously I'm not going to be going crazy with it. I did do a flash cure before though, so if I did make a mistake, I would have been able to just wipe away and my outline would still be there. And then I'm using my liner brush just to go in and make sure that everything's all lined up nicely. All gaps are filled in properly where they need to be filled in. But yeah, as I was saying with the clients, sometimes it's a necessary evil. I have my practice hand and I'm always like doing bits and bobs with my practice hand, just to make sure that before I go in with a design that I think looks really cool, it's something I can actually do. It's something I can practice at, something I can work at. Because you don't really want to get a paying client come in and you tell them you can do something, you can't do it, and then they're disappointed with their set. You may not, I don't know, may end up making a bad name for yourself, you know? But I digress. We're filling in the gaps, the in-betweens, with that holographic silver. Now, when I was doing this nail, I did the holographic silver, and then I was looking at it and I thought, this is just, it's so plain. It needs something else. It needs something to break it up, that pink. And then I thought, hold on, hun, you've got the Candy Kisses there. So I used this Candy Kisses. I used my 5mm fine liner brush here, and I wish I hadn't, because that's, I don't know, I find that's really good for detailing. I should have just used a longer one, but never mind. Now, after I added the Candy Kisses, I thought, oh yes, this is it. This looks insane. And then I thought, but I can't just have the Candy Kisses on that one. So I did it on my middle finger underneath the silver holographic, and then I put it over the pink that I laid down on the Peppermint finger, the candy cane finger. And I feel like it really brought everything together. It was so much more cohesive, it was so much more legible, and it just looked really, really stunning at that point. The Candy Kisses saved the day. So I'm curing that, and the next part is my snowflakes. So I started with one snowflake. I used Candy Kisses, and I feel like this was a really pretty colour for those snowflakes, and it went really well with the other nail art that I had. So the way I do a snowflake is I have my centre dot, and then we'll make 3 dots going up. I will do 3 dots going down, and I will do 3 dots going side to side. And that is like the main part of the snowflake, if you will, the frame of it. And then to add the extra dimension, I will be adding a dot in between each of the rows, so like a northeast dot, a southeast dot, a southwest dot, and a northwest dot. And then I'll take a liner brush, give it a little zhuzh in my palette, and then I'll connect the dots starting from the middle and making its way out, so that you get that really pretty snowflake effect. And this is honestly the easiest way to do a snowflake if you're just feeling lazy. It's the lazy snowflake, but it works so well. I love it so much. I think if someone ever came to me with a really intricate snowflake design, I'd probably be like, yeah, but have you seen this? And try and persuade them to just have my little basic snowflake. But it works, and I see so many other nail techs use it as well, and anytime I see it I think, hell yeah, go on girl. So I did another snowflake initially in silver, and I hated it, so I got rid and I did it in Candy Kisses. And then I used my dotting tool to add the silver, so that I had kind of all of the colours still all together, and it all worked really, really well. I felt really, I was so happy with how this set turned out. And then I'm adding a top coat to each of these nails, because the next part, hun, is the diamonds. And yeah, the diamonds are just, they're a whole other stress, hun. So here we go, here's our diamonds. We are going to be using this row here, the little up to the big. And I actually ended up using like a few of the other larger shapes as well. So using my capcut rhinestone glue, this stuff is incredible, it's amazing. I will never use a different rhinestone glue. I am mapping out a design on my nail before I actually put down the rhinestone glue. I was just showing the product. Now initially I wanted to do a swirl on my nail, but anytime I did it, I laid my hand down flat and I'd do the swirl and I think it looked really cute from one angle. And then as soon as I turned my hand to look at it from the perspective of someone who's looking at my nail, it just didn't look right. So yeah, hence the mapping. I always map before I actually lay them down because I want to make sure that I'm happy with that design before really going in for the kill, if you know what I mean. So yeah, I'm just adding a few tiny little ones in between so that they all connect up really nicely. And once I'm happy, what I do is I take away each of those rhinestones and I will use the exact map that I used from before and I lay it out on my table, which you'll be able to see. I'm just adding some more to the tip because there was like a gap at the tip that didn't quite look right. But yeah, here's the part where I lay them out on the table. I spread them out nice and evenly so that I know exactly where each diamond is going to go. It's pretty self-explanatory, to be honest. But I guess it also gives you like a bigger picture for what I'm doing. It is pretty straightforward. And I feel like this was the money piece. You get the money piece on the hair and then you get the money piece with the nails. So I'm doing the rhinestone glue. Initially, I am only putting it around at the base first. A goodly amount so that it's got something nice to stick to. And I'm only doing the bottom ones first because where they frame around your cuticle, what you want really is to do it in stages because they do slide around on your nail because, as I said earlier, it's a curved canvas. So once that's laid down exactly as I want, I give it a flash cure and then go in with the rest because the rest is going straight down. It's not too challenging, but yeah, self-explanatory. So I realise I've just spent so long on this entire video talking. I'm sorry for that, but I'm just going to add a top coat to the ring finger because that rhinestone glue is kind of like a no white top coat in itself. I added a tiny little gem to this finger, just in the centre. In hindsight, I kind of wish that I'd have put diamonds in the centre of my snowflakes as well, but it's not the end of the world, it is what it is. And then for the picture, I literally only did my thumb. I cannot do left-handed nail art, but I think I did a pretty good job on this set, to be honest with you. Once I finish that, I like to go in with a cuticle oil. In this video I use cherry, and yeah, look at that. Don't they look so pretty? I'm really happy with how this set turned out. But yeah, with that being said, that is literally the end of the video. I want to say thank you if you've made it this far, for watching and listening to me drone on and really try to cram in as much information as possible. This is the set with Flash, and thanks again for watching. Bye.